State Representative Dustin Burrows in studio. Why? Because it's Election Day, and we've got some very important propositions out there that people will be voting on. And Representative Burrows, welcome back.
Chad, thank you for having me on. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you in studio today. It is Election Day, reminding everyone to get out there and vote. So far, about I think I read about 17% of at least Lubbock County voters, registered voters, have gone out and voted, which, I don't know, that it does sound low, but at the same time, I'm a little bit surprised that it's that high. You know,
I've heard two different stories, one calling it low, one calling it high for what it is. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess let's start off with overall just your feelings on these propositions.
Yeah, let me kind of give you some history real quick, just because I think it's interesting. Our Constitution was adopted in 1876. Since that period of time, we have proposed 666 different amendments thereto. 663 of those have actually ended up on the ballot. I cannot find what happened to the 3 that did not make it on, but we're looking into it. It's quite interesting. Of those, 484 were approved, 179 were defeated, so somewhere 72, 73% pass whenever actually we propose it. But overall, I voted in early voting. I voted for every one of the amendments, and we can talk about them in order, but I think all of them are worth consideration, and I think all of them are worth supporting.
Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, we'll go through those different propositions, what they mean, and why you need to know what you need to know about them, and why, at least in many people's opinions, you need to be voting yes on all of them. We'll take the break. We'll be right back. State Representative Dustin Burrows back in studio when we return here on the Chad Hasty Show. Back on the Chad Hasty Show, State Representative Dustin Burrows in studio with us. We have Election Day here in the state of Texas. Those of you listening right now, get out and vote. And State Representative Dustin Burrows, what will the good people of Texas be voting for, at least statewide, when it comes to these propositions?
All right, talking about amendment number 1, the first part of it is raising the homestead exemption from $15,000 to $25,000. I believe it has not been raised since 1997, so this is some tax relief. The only issue with it is, let me just be very clear, given what we're going to see in the increases in appraised values and property, you're probably still going to pay slightly more next year than you did this year, even if you vote for this. But it is warranted. It has not been increased since 1997. School districts are held harmless. But most importantly, and people don't always talk about this part of the amendment, we also ban any tax on the transfer of real estate. That's very important. A lot of other states have gone to that to try to find this additional tax source. We believe in the Texas legislature that is a bad idea, and so we're going to put part of that in the amendment. So I would encourage people to vote for Prop 1.
All right.
Prop 2 is dealing with having an ad valorem tax exemption for the surviving spouses of 100% totally disabled veterans. And that's just kind of a follow-through on some constitutional amendments I believe Charles Perry actually passed in 2013. So this is a good thing. It's for our veterans, and I think it's worth voting for. Getting to number 3, perhaps one of the only controversial measures. I am for this, but what basically it says is our statewide elected officials, save and except the governor, do not have to maintain a residency in Austin. Since 1876, back in the days of horses and buggies, we required the lieutenant governor and the comptroller and speaker of the House to reside in Austin. We felt that they needed to be there to do their business. Well, a lot has changed since those days, the invention of cell phones and whatnot, and we believe that people can maintain their first residency in Harris County, for instance, and still do an adequate job, and ultimately the voters can decide if they're not able to do it. Mm-hmm. So I do support this.
See, what I want to know still is who was the statewide elected official who said, "Get me out of Austin. I want to be able to leave."
There's been rumors on a lot. I'm not going to call any one of their names out, but it's not the lieutenant governor. But think about that. I mean, he makes what I do, $600 a month. He knows what he did when he signed up for the job. Right. But to require him to actually have his full residency in Austin, I mean, that's a lot to require. I mean, obviously, it's going to consume more than the $600 a month, salary he gets. Now, let's say we want to put a young man as lieutenant governor who's raising his family, and his 2 children or 3 children, however many he is, are actually in school in Harris County or Travis County or maybe Lubbock County, and they want to keep in that school, but he wants to keep his home here and just have an apartment in Austin. Well, I think we should be able to allow him to do that. I think it opens up the process to different people. So I have no objection to that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. Number 4 is going to be the professional sports teams having a charitable raffle. This is really not going to affect us since we have no pro sports teams here. But from what I understand, pro sports teams, when they do this, it highlights a charity like Big Brothers Big Sisters, which I was once involved in, or CASA, or Make-A-Wish, and they want to really do something to bring awareness to these great charities, and they run very professional things, and they can raise a whole lot of money at their events doing these charitable raffles because they're the draw, being professional athletes. So I'm comfortable with this one.
Yeah, that's something that I know I've seen some of the sports franchises in the Dallas area say yes. Please go vote on this one, and it's just a way for some of the charities out there to make some extra money.
Yeah, if we were in Dallas and I was working with a charity like Big Brothers Big Sisters, I would love it if the Cowboys wanted to partner with them and have a charitable raffle, because it would just be, be a first-class event, and number 2, it'd raise a lot of money for the children.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm very comfortable with that. Number 4, another shout-out, number 5, another shout-out to Charles Perry, and at this time Drew Springer in the neighboring district. This is their constitutional amendment that is going to allow counties to maintain increases from population of 5,000 to 7,500 to perform construction or road maintenance or road building on private roadways. Brings 20 new counties into this. So that's kind of a rule one. If we get to number 6, this is enshrining in our Constitution the constitutional right to hunt and fish. And a lot of people have asked me, is this really necessary? And, I didn't see a lot of movement in the Texas legislature to infringe on these rights. But if you start looking at what PETA is saying, you start looking at the president of their organizations, this is their stated goal. Total animal liberation.
Right.
I don't know what that means or what it is. I know I don't like it.
Liberals will have the right to vote. That is what PETA's trying to do. That's
So they want
amnesty for the animals.
Yeah, they're raising a whole lot of money off total animal liberation. And so, we're trying to be proactive here and shut down these organizations. God willing, PETA never becomes a big deal out here in West Texas. But I know the fact that PETA is against this amendment is probably a good reason to be for it.
It's pretty good. You got to plan for the future sometimes.
Yeah, animal welfare and animal liberation. Those are 2 movements.
Animals' rights to vote. They're going to vote at some point.
Might as well. Number 7, and this is, they're all good amendments. They're all worth voting for, but I think 7 is the one that most people around the state are very excited about. We have a lot of roads that are congested over on the I-35 corridor. We have a lot of roads out here that have not been maintained that need fixing because of the oil boom. There's not enough money in TxDOT. Right, wrong, or otherwise, we can talk about why they haven't been given as much money as they needed. But regardless, people want their roads fixed. It is a safety concern. It's just something that's a priority of this legislature. This is a way of dedicating some revenue. We estimate $3 billion a year into getting our roadways maintained, roadways fixed. It's an important one. I think it's a good way of actually getting these funds dedicated without raising taxes. It stabilizes the source of funding because roadways don't get built in 2 years. These are sometimes 10-year projects. Yeah. And so being able to have this funding allows you to get, money bonded off of it and other things. And I think this is really a good one to vote for. So I encourage everyone to vote for all of them. But if they're going to vote just for one of them, take Prop 7 and vote for it.
That's right. And Election Day is today. Get out there and vote. And Representative Dustin Burrows, appreciate your time today.
Anytime. Absolutely, Chad.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.